No.
The date is 10 November 2021.
Yeah. So we were part of a group, reflection group here in the EAMBA context, and studying a book about waking up to our whiteness. So it was, the journey was focused on the diversity of color, skin color, and what that means, of course. It's not only that, so the social conditions. Now we felt that diversity is such a wider context. So we might just write maybe in the chat, when you hear the word diversity, what pops up, which words. Yeah, it can be French, it can be language, it's also okay. We have a wide French community. So yeah, words that are, when you hear the word diversity, what that means maybe for you. And it can be, not necessarily something with a negative touch or a challenging touch. Yeah.
Inspiring variety.
Thank you.
Diversity as a treasure.
Yeah, maybe some other words. A natural fact. Yeah. Yeah. Right. And as you read those words that we have shared, so what is open? Yeah. What is present in the body? What is, the physical response if I read the word inspiring variety or cultural diversity? Yeah, diversity is a friendly challenge to get out of the once ordinary. Yeah. Maybe you can also share space and warmth in the body. Okay. Surprise, yeah. But there are also heavy chest feeling, yeah, right. So, Eugenio, if you want to add, it's about, now here really sharing what is your personal relationship with this challenge we face, not only in the mindfulness, in our sessions and groups, but probably in general, and what that means for us. Yeah.
Maybe if you, I just wanted to share the link. If you're interested in knowing more about this group or this study program, actually, that I think it's been around for a couple of years, and it's very US based and very based on race. But that was the background. So yeah, I just put it in the chat. you have the resources. So diversity is very much linked to communities and groups of people. That's at least that's the filter I have, you know. Diversity.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about diversity, that's, you know, thinking about also the narrow, you know, the makeup as human. We share the fact that what is unfamiliar, you know, is embraced first of all with I would say aversion, you know, is a big word, but yeah, first of all, always unfamiliar. So as we know, the brain is searching for safety and what is familiar. So that, and without that element of or quality of curiosity, which is really fostered by MBI, so, you know, constantly. Naturally, people, you know, they go into protective modes, and I can sense that as well. So, oh, the people that are diverse might be somewhere, you know, the reptilian brain is, oh, danger. So how much presence is needed, first of all, to notice that, pattern, that human pattern, compassion that is needed. So that is my personal take on that. I'm aware of that pattern. And how can I approach the people that somehow are different than me? Or when I feel myself different in a context. So how do I dance with that? So that's my personal take. So I really, you know, feel open to go somewhere with this self-inquiry. And this is something that shows up also when I'm teaching. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. I can maybe share something about diversity. I had this conversation with a guy, Petit Bamboo, a guy that started this application, and he was asking me if we had diversity within our mindfulness teacher community, because he wanted to have more diversity of people doing the programs, audio programs for this application, and it showed up that there was not enough diversity in order for them to have more impact on people, all kind of communities. And he was asking me for tips for teachers that are like from the other, you know, background than socio-economic background and blah blah blah, because it's a pretty narrow community. And I said that there is not, it's not so diverse in terms of it's pretty much a homogeneous group, and it's not representative of the general population. So I couldn't give him some tips to have a more diverse people doing these programs, basically. And so that's pretty much diversity for me in my current
How did you feel about that when you had to say you had no? How did that make you feel? Because obviously he looked up to EAMBA or to you personally to know.
Well, I felt discouraged and frustrated because it's yeah, I felt it was, yeah, just something needs to be done for this, but not artificially, not marketing wise, not just to sell more subscription for them, but because there's a lot of spots where mindfulness is absolutely not present. I mean, I try to do a very small part in prisons, but it's just microscopic, you know, it links to that. It's frustrating. In order to be a mindfulness teacher, we need to be well educated. I mean, at least in France, we have this experience of we need to have a diploma in order to become a mindfulness teacher.
May I ask if we're conversing right now? I don't know if the plan is for somebody to present something or we're just having a conversation.
It's a conversation, yes.
Good. Yeah, just yes. Try to check.
Yes, sharing.
This person who I've asked you how much diversity there is in, I guess, I presume, EAMBA. How did they measure which is enough and what enough of diversity? Did they have a scale or?
No, they don't have a scale. They just have the insight that their median average customer out of 1 million subscribers is actually middle age, well, between 30 and 50, a woman like 90%, and between 30 and 50. So that was their insight, and they wanted to have more diverse population. So that was their intention, and he was just asking me because I do some stuff for them, and I don't find my community very diverse in terms of everything, in terms of age, gender, and sexual orientation and whatever. And I mean, in France we have like a big community from Maghreb, and there is none in our teacher community, basically, which is a big challenge if you look at it from a statistical point of view. It's disturbing, you know.
Well, teacher community for mindfulness teachers is if you look at it as a profession, you have certain parameters that you do the profile of this profession. So in them, you don't look for diversity. You look for diversity in the rest of them. I mean, I work with diversity and I do intercultural trainings and stuff much before I became a mindfulness teacher. And it's really, I think it's important to have a understanding of what diversity is and what it's not. And to what extent, how we can measure in different contexts what is important to be seen. And yeah, I don't know. It depends on these people's goal. And I guess this is something that they want to develop with their app, to as many people as diverse community to reach with that. And therefore, a community of teachers might not be the best focus for them.
Indeed. May I ask, Stasi, sorry, Katerina, please go on.
No, I'm sorry, please go ahead.
No, so since you have a great experience on diversity and you work on that field, you know, not mindfulness, but diversity. So personally, I feel also that door to enter is diversity, not mindfulness, and then we adapt the mindfulness to that context. You know, I know that coming from mindfulness, as you said, requires a lot of prerequisite. You say, you know, and it's already how is advertised. You know, the pictures, and you know, is attracting more women than men, just the way it's presented. And the language, and you know what you get out of it somehow, you know, even if it's not, but you attend a course with a certain intention, and that's, you know, you get to a mindfulness course not out of the blue. It has been a journey, and it's easily that a woman with a certain age, maybe with a certain profession and a certain education, gets to that point to attend a mindfulness course. So yeah, so Stacey, you know, you are an expert here, so maybe you could share. And Katarina, sorry.
Yeah, just wanted to say, when you started about the men and women in mindfulness field, I actually am not an expert in diversity as a whole. I do intercultural training since '96, and these stereotypes that are intercultural, based on national cultures, but also organizational or group cultures. But what you said about men and women, I interestingly had a group where, with mindfulness, 3 years ago, where men prevailed, and it was a group with about 5 men, 6 men, and 2 women, and there were people with some from vulnerable. They were coming from these unemployed kind of community, where one of them was also really challenged mentally. Another one was an ex-army employee, and so something happened, and I don't know how this group came up, and they also were aware that it's strange, but they persisted, and we had a long and full course with them. So yeah, it is possible, I think. It really depends on how we approach our audiences, or whatever you call them, clients, base, or and is really each one of us, I guess, are looking for people to join our small communities. Maybe in times of COVID especially, one way would be to just get people from your community where you live, your neighborhood, and just invite them all and see who's going to show up. That probably I don't know, a very natural way to see, to say everybody is welcome and see who is going to show up. I'm sorry, I'm bubbling a little, but that's what's coming to me. If there's I'm not answering your question.
No, there are no questions and answers here, just an exchange, a dialogue. So
yeah, that's what came to me.
The thing is also, when you're saying recruiting from your neighborhood, when I offer the practice transmission in a company, then it's a representation of the group that has been invited by the management team. And I particularly stress that members of the management team also participate, and it makes a big difference. So, for example, when I had a group in a media company, there were people from very different cultures, because they are a multicultural company. They are, but then the lopsidedness was that they were all very young. Other than the management, they were all under 30. So, but that was the culture, or let's say the composition of the population of the company. And they had people from Congo, from France. This is in Belgium, the UK. Well, simply because they recruit people from all over Europe, and the former parts that Belgium went to. So it also depends the population that you address.
Yeah, I also wonder, if a man, the majority also of mindfulness teachers are also women. If a man, I don't know, would go to a woman offering mindfulness, I don't know. Probably ask here the men in the community. I don't know. But it's matter of fact, eight women, 2 men, or only men, only women. So yeah.
Yeah, it's hi. By the way, I'm Celine from Brussels. I never came to one EAMBA meeting, but I'm a mindfulness trainer here in Brussels, and
Nice.
I came because I thought it was my duty when I saw the subject, because I was also the only person of color in my teacher training, and I really think it's what you said. I don't know because your name is not there.
Teresa, sorry, I will rename.
Yeah, I think Teresa, you're right, because I was a social worker for years and a youth worker, and I could see that people trust a lot the teacher or the authoritarian figure if they are a little bit the same, So maybe it's true that a man would go more with a man, or a person of color, a black person with a black teacher. And it's like the question of Katerina in the chat, like all this white awareness and all these unconscious biases around race. It's very US. And also I'm part of a mindfulness network for people of color in the UK, but it's very, UK, US, and we really miss that in Western Europe. And so I'm studying now a lot to be able to offer that, but in a European context. And I found it very difficult because I'm the first generation, kind of, here in Belgium, at least. I don't know if you know someone, but I don't know an elder or an older teacher of color. And so it's very difficult. How can I give that to my community? Also, as a personal story, I used all my savings to do my teacher training, which was so crazy expensive, because I knew that I wanted to offer to people who cannot pay. But I see, for example, in the US, I get a lot of courses, I get a lot of scholarships. And I think we need just to do more scholarships in Europe, or more, trying to find a way to get people from different social economic classes and people with different backgrounds. But some people, like the Moroccan community, is also big in Belgium. They will not go because they think, no, I'm Muslim, so I cannot do that. Yes. So also religion, I found it very difficult. And that's why I'm here, to listen, to see how can we advance on this topic in Europe.
I think that's exactly what we are sharing here. This common powerlessness of knowing how to do this, because there is another side of the coin, and that is that lumping together everyone who has a light color or who looks female or male. I mean, there's diversity too. It's looking beyond the whiteness, looking beyond the gender is the important thing. And that is what we also teach. We teach uniqueness and embracing of what really is. So I think that what you just said, sharing who you are, a white person might want to come to you because you embody something that person needs. And there is a feeling of a kinness with you because of that. So this is a very delicate and also an elegant exercise to truly live mindfulness and not lump together in stereotypes. What makes you laugh, Teresa?
Yeah, no, because what Celine was sharing, we had, in the group with Eugenio, I know it wasn't the last specifically, but we talked about that throughout our, investigation. At a certain point, we moved also away from that guide because it was the US, and we are in Europe confronted with different problems, different realities. So that, and also we were sharing the fact that education is too expensive, that is selective, is that diversity happens as there are conditions for that, and the conditions are that it's expensive, that people need to have a certain background, so that it's already a selection, people have specific interest. Yeah, but Celine, you're welcome, because we're meeting now next Monday, and there is in Amsterdam, I think there is an older mindfulness teacher. She has Indonesian background, and she's creating with someone also in Amsterdam a course which is directed to this kind of community where mindfulness would normally not enter, just because it's expensive. Basically, who can spend 300 euros on that, or 250, I don't know, whatever. So and also us, unless you have a position where you can offer that for free. But if you're a professional and you invested, as you said, you're saving, then it's a concern, it's just, yeah, big breath, deep breath.
So if I may add something to that, it's true. We are now talking in the last few minutes of this conversation more about actually inclusion, because I would say inclusion and equity are the prerequisites for diversity and vice versa. So we when thinking about diversity, we need to also think about inclusion specifically, and who we want to reach in our work. And if this is the wider community, here in UK, we have mindfulness for wider community, and that's how you advertise it. Or you have mindfulness for specific groups or for corporate teams and so on. In this conversation, I think, because for many years I've been with my head of intercultural whatever consultant or trainer, I've been looking for differences and how to be aware of these differences and how to help people build bridges between their differences. And I came up to mindfulness at some point, and I saw with loving kindness that we all so equal and so one, and that I was looking on that side of the one cannot understand culture or difference or diversity without being aware of their own everything, including all the biases we carry all the time, and how we differ from the other person, maybe even from the same group, but still different. And then being aware of all these differences and the full range of them through mindfulness come to integration of all this and realization that we still are very, very equal and one and human. So I think there are two poles here that are, when we think they're one extreme and the other, but then if we fill them with meaning, they come quite naturally together. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that makes sense of what I said.
Yeah, maybe I can share that. Something that I didn't share before is that the reason this application, they wanted to have other persons, is because they wanted to attract those communities. And I mean, I think yeah, it's about having models of those communities and having diverse teachers and inclusive teacher training programs, etc., etc. So I think there's a lot of steps that can be done if we want to. Yeah.
Do you know, Teresa and Eugenio, from this program, whether the app Headspace, I mean, they have been around for a long time. They started small. They're like 10 people or even less. They are now 200. Yeah. They're in Silicon Valley. They must have some statistics on how inclusive they are. Was there any mention of that in your exchange with the group?
No, not specifically. Not specifically. But it's a good question. Yeah, Headspace might be interesting. Yeah.
I heard about the religion and so on. I believe personally a platform where we can reach a variety. I was teaching 2 times MBCT in London in the a university. So I was this was during my training. So Kingston, exactly, and it was offered to PhD students in psychology department. So. And in the UK, as you know, there are a lot of foreign, many are not from the UK studying in UK universities. And so I had a group with 2 Muslims. So, and that was interesting also to teach mindfulness in that context, with people with different religion. I never had that, or, it was never so obvious due to the fact that they were wearing a burqa. And different nationality, Africa, a lot of, many were from Asia or from the Arabic countries. So there are a lot of people studying in UK. And this is also, going back to John Kabat-Zinn's intention of really making this accessible to, although the roots are, Buddhist, but that you use a language. So I was so careful in this context when I had different religions that I really stick to the scientific language. No mention of Buddha or even of Metta, Vedana, nothing. Stick to the scientific language, stick to the scientific, evidences, really teach that in an absolutely, neutral approach, and create safety. That word was so important, creating a safe environment for people that have a different, cultural background, different religion. And so that was an incredible learning experience for me. The respect, for their.
It sounds like avoiding to scare people away.
Yeah, a bit. I probably was over caring or over. Yeah, because I don't know. It's. Imagine you have people that is their mother tongue, and then they are really coming and they're sharing such personal stuff. Of course, in when they are students, probably that's okay, and they can show also. I think they were also over striving people, with a high knowledge, sort of to compensate their probably fragility. So I was also probably over caring, of those that were a minority. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you for saying that, Katerina. But yeah,
I just remember with one of my clients, I had 2 Muslima women in the group, really young ones, like somewhere around 23, 24, but not showing it on the outside. And they were very diligently practicing and becoming ambassadors within the group to practice. So the upside of having the possibility to include someone from a different cultural background is that they are, in fact, the change agents. They are the ones who will make the bridge. And we don't need to make the bridge. We only need to give space to those who can make the true bridge for those who will accept them. And I think that is a facilitating intention, attitude that we can carry, to just step sideways and leave the space to an intermediary who can make the impact. It's also how, as an anthropologist, I work, not trying to be like the ones that you are with, but trying to find key people in their own culture and let them translate to their people in order to make it acceptable. And I think also, Stacey, you mentioned something in that line with your intercultural training. It's not us, it's not the first line, it's the second line, giving them the space to do the work and be the ambassador.
I'm thinking of something that I had on my previous job while you're talking, Katerina, that we also have to be, I will often talk from race because that's my diversity. So, but that we also often have to be careful to not re-traumatize people, especially when we talk about diversity at work. Often I had Black colleagues and myself that we could also feel that it was as if we were taken just because of our color, you know, instead of our competences. So it was very like, once we had a conversation and élection sans candidat. So it's an election without a candidate, and the people can say why they want someone to be there. And everybody was just noticing me and my Black male colleague. And it was really why, and I felt really re-traumatized. And because why they wanted me, it was just because I was a woman of color. It was so like, not so...
It's a positive discrimination, but at the same time, it is it can be disrespectful because you're just chosen as so that other people can have an excuse that they are compliant with inclusiveness and diversity.
It happens a lot in Belgium because they have to tick the box diverse. We are diverse, so they need one Black woman and then it's okay. So it was really like exactly what you meant. It's not even respect. At that moment, I felt very sad and very like, what? You're my colleagues, you're anarchists, you're in the social sector and you do that to me, so you're unconscious. So I had to tell them. And I was very lucky because they were open to hear it. But that can happen also. And it happens also to me in the mindfulness world. Like, why does this school want me? You know? So, yeah.
If it doesn't hurt, then also if something like that happens, we can take advantage. I have been in a company that was registered at Stock Exchange. I was the first woman in the Conseil d'Administration. And I wasn't taken because I was a woman, but when I came there, they did change their communication. And of course, they were proud to have a woman, but I simply took the chance because it was a stepping stone. we can also dramatize what is happening, but we can also simply take the chance and then say, okay, or I'll take the ball, I run with it, and then we see what's next. Because as you said, you mentioned the word consciousness, it's all about awareness. If you, in a friendly and mild, kind way, told your colleagues, as you did, then we can help people wake up to, oh, the decision I just took, it was not the most respectful decision. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. So it's also a way of making peace with oneself and with others.
Yeah. Celine, may I ask you if they changed anything after your feedback? Or they kept ticking boxes?
They didn't choose me, but we had a conversation. They let me explain what I felt and everything. And they would let someone come. That's, yeah, that is more suitable for this job. Like, or to explain, like, it's, I quit that job, so they couldn't choose me anyway, but they chose my colleague, and with my colleague together, we said, it's not our duty to educate you, but we really should have workshops and information sessions about unconscious biases, because you think you do right, but actually you re-traumatize some of us. So how can we grow out of this? Exactly, like take it and grow out of this. And so it was a very open organization. I really appreciate that. And they would do like information sessions and workshops around that.
That's great. I put here in the chat an HBR article on that, especially about how to make unconscious bias more conscious and people more aware, not just tick boxes. I hope it will be useful for you.
I will read it, thanks.
For everyone too, yeah. A whole program can be drawn out of it.
You can put it in the message following up on this meeting. Yeah. That's okay, right? Because it's published. Yeah, it's published.
Yeah, it's published.
It's recent.
Yeah,
September. Nice.
I have a question. If you've heard about Judith Ben David, she's great. Yeah, I put again in here.
It was one of the guests we wanted to invite. We were talking, me and Eugenio. Yeah, she works in the refugee. She's great. Yeah. So thank you for saying that, Stacey. So we'll go and invite her. Maybe she will participate in one of these meetings. Great. Yeah.
And she's taking active steps.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much where my frustration is where it needs to be transformed, because it's that's.
Do you have any inputs from the big ones like the CFM, Brown University, or Bangor, Oxford on this theme?
They are the first one creating that diversity. You can pay Oxford, it's just that becomes already little, and they have to be a psycho, whatever, that's I was in one of those meetings that John Kabat-Zinn was, and he was mentioning that the diversity, but it's just I don't know. It's impossible for someone who's coming from they're not offering scholarships, and in Bangor in the master we had all people that were diverse. They quit along the path, So as we are now in the
Why
last,
was that? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know. It's we had people with Arabic background, and they stepped out in the first year somehow. I don't know why.
And the institutes, did they follow up? Were they interested in what happened? I mean, every company follows up when a client is leaving. This is a client dropping out in the middle of the assignment.
Yeah, probably they had personal reasons, but yeah, I think that now that we are in the fourth year, I'm the only one, I think, that is not living in the UK. There are a couple of, but it's just like they're just the conditions and the study and the money and you really need to be extremely committed, really extremely committed.
I'm studying as well in Bangor, but it's not the master degree, but the teacher training path. And my level 1 group, we were about, as you can see, I'm Bulgarian, I'm not British, but I live here in UK. So we were 1 Canadian, 2 French people, 1 Italian, and myself. And the rest, there were 4 British. So we were a huge international group of people who were, just happened to live in UK and study there. About a few months after we finished, Brexit took place. The referendum. And then since then, I think half of these international people have left Britain. Those who I know are still here. They just didn't go. They didn't continue, maybe for their own personal reasons, with becoming mindfulness teachers. So it's been like really a filtration. My personal understanding is that it's really very local. That is part of the British culture. I guess it's not right now the moment to discuss this. It's possibly positive and negative, because one thing I know, and this is where cultural differences and mindfulness get together very well, is that judging a culture is an impossible task, because culture exists for survival of its members in a way. So if I think that something in British culture is bad or is stupid, it's just a silly judgment that I do, and it doesn't work. So in this sense, this is where actually culture, intercultural issues and mindfulness meet, so that we, even though that might be my feeling, that things on inclusion go down a little bit in the UK, which is a fact.
It's a fact.
After Brexit, at the same time, trying to be mindful, we need to find other ways, and then just live with what is. So yeah, it's true. I've seen the same things as Teresa said.
It's a good education, though, but yeah, it's also focused on the local reality. It's true. It's definitely, and also, specifically if you work in NHS, so they train you to work in NHS. Yeah, but it's a good training, and then take your time.
Jania, do you know anything about the teacher training in Paris? How diverse the group is? For example, EAMBA or ADM?
Well, I know ADM, I know EAMBA because I train teachers for EAMBA, and I know ULB also because I trained with them. And I think there is really not a focus on having a diverse teachers in terms of general population. It's a very narrow group. That's like, yeah, middle age, like socioeconomical background. It's pretty much it's the way it is. Yeah. And yeah, ADM, for instance, you need to have a diploma. You need to be, in the French they say bac plus 5, like high school diploma plus 5 years of studies. So that automatically excludes like very young people or people that didn't go to university and might be good teachers, you know. So that bothers.
But nowadays,
nobody's bothered by this, you know. It's like if we don't see that spot, that blind spot, if we don't make it something actively, then it will continue like this. I know Brown is pretty much the same. It's
very selective. Yeah.
So it's very yeah.
I mean, it's the structure as well. I was sharing that also in the group. If you do the 12 steps program, if you've gone through the program, then you can become a facilitator. So that is how it's passed. And this is not like it is in MBSR. The fact that you did the MBSR doesn't make you competent enough to teach it. Yeah, for good reasons. So is protection of, you know, you're in charge of other people. So yeah, but this is, you know, the pitfall, the downside of it. Then you become really selective. So I don't know.
Many people from, let's say, Southern European countries or North African countries. India has been long to have very good education for people. They come to the UK or go to the US to continue studying. I've been in a mentor program for young people to continue their studies. And very often they choose subjects like law, economics, fiscality, because those are medicine. Those are subjects, professions that give a different type of status. I mean, this is also a very specific profession that doesn't give a rise in status or prestige in our communities or in our society. You really must be very motivated to. I'm speaking also to you, Celine, to use all your savings to, and then even to know that maybe it will be hard to make your living from the profession that you have studied for. So if you are an adolescent from Morocco or Turkey or Tunisia, then you make your family proud by becoming an economist or a lawyer or a fiscalist. You go to the stock exchange, you go to the big four accountancy and consultancy companies if you have a brain. So it's not a really such a
lucrative, lucrative choice. Yeah.
No. So they have the diplomas that could go, but they also could do something else.
But for me, it's not about the people. For me, when I talk more about the people that want to do that and just cannot because it's 6,000 euros, the teacher training. Like, it's not about the people who have another dream or another career dream. It's about, people that want to do that, but don't have the money, and there are no scholarships in Europe. Like, it's so less than in the US, and it's not so common. And I remember I almost stopped the second year because I had no money, and then I could do something if I was volunteering somewhere in a retreat, you know, but there was no scholarship for me, and I had to do something in exchange. It was already very kind, but yeah, I think we can do more efforts. And indeed, I also needed a master, so I was very lucky that I had a master. But yeah, maybe someone with a bachelor can also be a very good teacher. So it's very strict, I would say, to the ones who want to do that, of course.
I have a question, listening to Celine and everyone. Who creates these rules of what's strict and how strict they are? No, I've been thinking the same things, because what happened, and I historically know, because I was born in the 70s already, when John Kabat-Zinn has brought together with Richie Davidson and all the other guys from the States, brought these Buddhist foundations. Also, when about that time, Thich Nhat Hanh created Plum Village, and they do that in different way. They still do it in a different way. The most enjoying practice that I've done through the lockdowns the last 2 years was the meetings of the whole world with John Kabat-Zinn for free. Also, very, very few I paid to go to a Buddhist academy near my town, where a Buddhist monk from Sri Lanka is doing mindfulness the Buddhist way. But still, it's mindfulness. I can see the and I think it's we ourselves build some kind of walls, and maybe we could think of something that's a win-win situation. We all live in this, of course, environment, and amongst these systems and complexity of the Western life. And we have to, I think, be aware of that, and still to see where's the boundary of the morals, even of what, as a mindfulness teacher, we carry. Do we take the money because everybody else takes this, or we can go a little bit under but be more inclusive? And I'm very happy we're having this conversation, actually, because I'll just give you an example. For when I was starting, and they said, after finishing this, you have to do this and this and this in order to be eligible for that. And I said, okay, I can do first that and then that. And they said, no, it has to be this way. Okay, and then it has to be with these providers too. And this is where I didn't like it. And then I found a course from other providers from the States that was a bit cheaper and gave me exactly the same that I needed. And I proved it to whoever the body was. So they made this exception. But why does it have to be exception?
Yeah. I also wanted to share an example that I proposed to someone who I still don't have a fixed room to give my classes, and I was looking around, and there was a room in the center of the city where they really welcome homeless people or people that are really poor and have not really a room in their house for themselves and to be in silence. So they propose this room to be in silence in the city. And I propose, for example, to use the room for my cycles, my eight-week courses. But in exchange, I would give 2 free courses or a few free courses in the month. So I think as a teacher, you can always find a balance between giving and also, okay, we have to pay our bread, so you have to ask money at a certain point. But this balance between giving maybe things for free, or for example, another example is that every 2 months or so I give a free class to women who are refugees. So I really think you can do, and you can find this balance and start from where you are and from your principles. But I would really like to see the change also in the bigger institutions, because yeah, as a person, I will not be able to change or something. So your question of who is making the rules is so important.
Delphine put in the chat, that's very true. We create our own world of teachers. Should we think about who we wish to talk to as teachers?
A solution I also proposed in the group, in the diversity group, because Celine, as you said, this is our job and we have to pay, and also starting you are in this system, I have to pay my doctors, and whatever, so, and that's life. Yeah. And so my journey is to be, that my work is paid by, I don't know, European Union, sort of that institutions pay my work. I can't expect my life being paid by private people that they sign up in an 8-week course. I don't think that's the way. It's a lot of pressure on people. I also notice, that I don't have fun. They don't have fun, sort of. So I think that institution like EAMBA could apply for grants and things like that, and that we are paid from institutions, from grants rather than from private. And so and there you make it more accessible also, maybe to, you might say, and my take was always not using the word mindfulness as the grant, we're asking for grant for mindfulness, we're asking for a grant for human whatever rights, and we use mindfulness as a tool to promote that, so that the focus is on other topics that are also, eligible for grants, and using mindfulness as a tool to promote that. Because it's about awareness, and awareness of our behaviors, of what we think, the conditioning, and so on.
So in a very concrete way, what Philip Golden did with his 4 sessions on mindfulness and climate would be what you're advocating, not using mindfulness as the entry point, but
topics,
a relevant thing in society that could be addressed with training awareness. Through mindfulness.
Ultimately, mindfulness is about becoming aware of your patterns, and you can put that in any, in all sources, so it's like, okay, let's talk about the
health.
Health, or it was so essential, this journey we were doing with Eugenio and the others, about, I would say no racist, I would say, but then, then you sit there and you notice, like Celine said, I wouldn't be aware of few things, just that, like a man is not aware that is using, is behaving not very kindly to women, just that they're not aware. It's just the way they used to do that. So, and just mindfulness is a tool of investigation, and investigating how you behave, and so nothing else. Yeah.
There's this question on who did the climate change thing. I will put the link in the chat because it's on the webpage of EAMBA Exchange.
It's Philip Golden, no?
You go, yes. Yeah. And you go to the bottom.
Yeah.
And at the bottom, we as EAMBA Exchange, we publish bonuses. And this was a bonus from Philip Golden, a neuroscientist. And it was offered by him and the Swedish mindfulness teacher, Ola Shenran. So I also published all 4 presentations that he gave and meditations. They're on that webpage, so you have access to it. Okay.
So I know mindful of time, Caterina and Eugenio, I know it was.
What does it mean?
I don't know. It's until 6:30 your time, or it was 6. I don't know.
It was announced as 6:30, but I think
6:30. Okay, sorry.
I don't know. It's depending on.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Is there any action that we might draw from the 7 of us from what we have exchanged here? Something that we could do, but for me, it's most of the time it's less frustrating to have a conversation that doesn't give a solution if I know that I can start on something, a stepping stone or something. Delphine, you're smiling. Does that ring a bell with you? Oh, Celine is typing.
Yeah. I understood that you said that you prefer when there is no answer. I
didn't say I prefer. I just said that it's not a need that there are answers. Sometimes the question is the most important thing.
Yes, that's why I was smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe there is something that we could.
The thing about les bourses create some. How do you say in English? Les bourses. The bourses d'aide.
Yeah, scholarships.
Scholarships. Yeah.
Scholarships. Yes.
I think it's maybe throughout an association like EAMBA to try to get organized to ask for these helps. Could be a start.
But yeah, the thing about your question, what are the one making the rules? I mean that, being university, they have their needs and also the obligation to have some standards, to assess people and so they pass. But I believe that the conundrum and the friction is between assuring that people have a certain preparation and that are competent to facilitate mindfulness, and it's difficult. It becomes difficult. So we use those certifications as a line to that people have a minimum of competence to facilitate mindfulness, and so that it's becoming the rule that to teach mindfulness. Otherwise, you have all that market of instant masters, from I don't know, from online $200, and then you become a mindfulness teacher. So that it's so difficult, we're navigating in such a difficult terrain, so assuring that people have a minimum of competence to teach mindfulness, that are not that kind of quick fix, master's education, whatever, and then you become rulish. So it's difficult. I have compassion for those that are, somehow defining some standards. It's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just writing that in January I want to take a little bit of break of giving classes to focus on maybe not creating a course from scratch, but do the 8-week course, but really focusing on unconscious racial biases. But I think I will need to find subventions or subventions, grants, to be able to do it for a closed group. Like I think it's super interesting to do it with people of color and Black people alone to heal together, but it's also very interesting to give it in organization who work around diversity. Like there was this CEJ, the Jewish European community. I gave a course there and they were very interested to have more a course like this, So I will let you know if I can do it and if it exists.
Celine, since you're in Belgium, you offer courses in French or in Flemish?
In everything.
Okay, everything.
Yeah, in French, Dutch, and English.
Okay. Just a suggestion that you might explore. There are a few companies like Torfs Schoenen and Colruyt who offer mindfulness training to their employees. And they are really big retailers, really big companies with lots of money. And the management team, the owners, they're practicing mindfulness themselves. So they might be interested in this because they really want in their shops, they want a representative population of the population who are their clients. So if you want a situation where you could test what you're doing or develop it together with them, that might be a chance for you. And if you need any help, I can help you to find email addresses to introduce you. Some of these people are on the advisory board of the Leuven Mindfulness Center. And I know some of them personally.
Okay. Yeah, so
I will put my email address in the chat. So if you can.
I'm subscribed in the French-speaking mindfulness teacher community. I'm subscribed with the French part, but I'm giving also classes in Dutch. Yeah.
So you're a member of the AFBM.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I received your emails.
Good. Great. Good to know.
Yeah, and I don't know, Eugenia, we have, because Celine is inquiring this group of EAMBA, you're working on diversity. Yeah. We have now Monday a meeting at 3, I don't know, and Joyce is going to share about her experience in the community.
Monday.
On Monday we have a meeting. Yes, we have two scheduled meetings. I think. No,
one is on the 15th at 4. Sorry. Your time.
I have a meeting at 4 on Monday already.
Yeah,
that's a shame.
Yeah, but maybe we can, we can say some, or we can even record. I don't know, and send it to you. I think since you are really focusing on that, creating something for that population is so essential.
I hope I can do it, but I would love to have any help because, like I said, it's very difficult. Also, I studied the book of Resmaa Menakem from the United States and Ruth King, but it's so American that I have to really think, how can I integrate that on a European level? And because we are so different.
Different. So, Reinilde, I think she was,
I already mentioned, you really,
I wrote
put the email address there.
Yeah, I wrote it down, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And she has translated some of that into the European context, especially Belgium. Maybe and also done some research.
Maybe I have to contact her as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, keep us posted because, I mean, you're pioneering, and and I'll speak for myself. I would really like to know how this journey is moving on. So, thank you for.
No, thank you for the few contact details and the support.
I have also a question to Eugenia because you work in prisons. Yeah. My feeling is also sometimes that I was talking with someone who was, working with somatic, actually Gestalt, and working in prisons, and they work also with, to train awareness, but with different tools. And I wonder, that sometimes you can foster the same processes, like becoming aware, but not in that way that we do with the practices and the inquiry. People don't share in prisons.
Not that much. Not individually they do, but in group settings.
In groups, no, exactly.
Because they feel threatened, you know.
Yeah. So that you use arts, you use maybe a performance, you know, to create that sense of sharing experiences, you know. So you wrap up the process of awareness and, you know, uncovering it, not with an 8-week course where we do body scan and then inquire the body scans. But maybe if you create a piece about everybody sharing a story and then how you sense in the body, so you use the mindfulness processes, but without mentioning that you're offering mindfulness processes, so that you have other doors to reach the same result, but making it safe for everybody. I don't know, it's just, yeah. So you need other experiences as well from other in disciplines, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you need entry points. Yeah, you need entry points, and I use the body and breathing. You know, it's just the basics and it's universal. But still, it's interesting how even if we tell or do not tell that mindfulness has Buddhist roots in some persons, they have this idea that they might get converted to another religion. I know I've been doing yoga classes in prison, and I had a not very diverse population, actually, just came all from the same region, Maghreb. And I said, let's do a sun salutation now. And I lost everybody. They were like this, like, what are you asking us? The sun salutation, this is haram, this is not good, you know. So we need to be careful.
Using the same stuff but using other names, you know, sort of probably.
Have you tried maybe just let them move on music, whatever they feel like it? I've done some yoga with some friends throughout the lockdown, and they were like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore, it's too this and too that. And then I did 5 rhythms with them.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
And they said, wow, this is much better. What did you change? We feel better. So you try.
Yeah. I'm in a collective. It's a non-mixed collective of BPOC women, and we are dancing to heal. So I'm also a performer, and I think dancing and chanting, singing, not chanting Om, because then they will say, oh, it's haram. But you can just scream or sing, and that's why I love that book, My Grandmother's Hands, of him, because he gives a lot of practices, a lot that I use and that I want to use in this 8-week course that I will prepare. I want to use more body. Yeah, because again, like this 8-week MBSR is super Eurocentric when you think. It's like a psychotherapy. Maybe some people cannot just sit and talk. Maybe some people have to do just this and then they but it's important to keep this also in mind. So
yeah, absolutely.
Adapting a lot.
Yeah, constantly adapting.
Like closed eyes is just, it's such a, I'm so angry when I listen to that invitation from mindfulness teachers that you need to close the eyes. Well, in the context I do mindfulness, they never close the eyes. If I ask that, it's just like putting a knife on them. They feel threatened, you know, so they never close the eyes. It's not an option to meditate with closed eyes.
We also worked with adolescent refugees who you can't ask them to close their eyes or to sit for a long time. So for them, walking meditation or mindful movement is the thing. and to give them the possibility to have their back to the wall and have their face to the door, so they can really control that there is safety. So I think it's very important what we are exchanging here, that there also must be some physical safety and possibility to use the body in well, finding that peace that we think is in sitting.
And that's what because I'm doing the trauma sensitive mindfulness training with David Trelevan, and it's exactly what you say, Katerina, looking at the door, like it's constantly adapting to your group. If you know that those adolescents maybe traversed the seas and went through crazy things, then asking to close their eyes is so unsafe. So yeah, it's so important to give the choice constantly. Yes. And I think I learned that a little bit in my teacher training, but not enough, I think.
Thank you for the sharing, Celine, for your presence and your wisdom.
Thank you.
Thank you for all sharings. Yeah, thanks.
Delphine writes, maybe no answers, but lots of creative possibilities.
Yeah. And
that's a wonderful thing. Once you get into a stream of exchange, then there's such a wealth of input. Yeah, you see? The people who are there are the right people.
Yeah, not expected. I was thinking the same. It was not expected as a surprise. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Thank you very much all for sharing and listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we close.
Thank you, Celine.
May there be peace.